Hi everyone, I wanted to show you how I changed this cloche around to make it a spring themed one. And obviously originally it had that skull and the candles in because it was like a Halloween themed cloche that I did. But I wanted to reuse it because these are expensive, so I'm not buying another one. So first of all, what I did was took my sander and sanded down the base so I could repaint it because I wanted the base to be white instead of black. This took a few minutes, but I've now got like this little electric sander thing, so it makes it a lot quicker than trying to do it by hand. So yeah, so I'm busy sanding it down. I'm just smoothing out the surface a little bit, getting rid of any lumps and bumps and any residue of wax from when I did the candles in there, because the candles dripped everywhere. And this just gets it nice and smooth, but it also gives it gives a slight texture to it so that the new coat of paint will stick. And then once I had finished sanding it, I didn't need to sand it down to the bare wood. I'm not that worried about it. Then what I did was wiped it over with a wipe just to remove any dust and debris from the surface and get any dust out from in between in the little ridge where the glass sits, because this has been on display since Halloween, so it was a bit dusty. So I'm just making sure it's clean, and then I dried it off with my hot air gun and wiped it over just to make sure it's dry, because obviously I didn't want the dampness from the wipe to mix with the paint. And then I applied some white acrylic paint. This is Peebo, and it's like a heavy body acrylic. And I find because it's quite opaque, it does cover quite well. That's why I wasn't too worried about getting down to the bare wood, because I knew 2 coats of this and you won't be able to see the black at all. So I didn't worry about sanding it too much. And obviously the first coat's going to come out ever so slightly streaky, but then it's just a case of drying everything off and then applying a second coat. You just want to apply, it's better to apply 2 thin coats than 1 thick one. It dries a lot better and you don't get any problems with paint peeling or anything. So once I'd done 2 coats, that was enough for what I needed. And then I stuck my little deer statue at the back. I wanted this to be nature and spring themed, so I'm using my stag, which obviously to me is a symbol of nature and animals from the forest, because I do like forest and woodland animals are my preference. And then I've got this little robin statue. These are just little ornaments I picked up from like Sainsbury's last spring, so keep an eye out at local stores like the Range or Sainsbury's and you'll find things like this. I do want to try and get like a rabbit. There was a rabbit before, like a little hare for like Easter. I want to try and get that one as well. And then I've got these roses. These are from like a garland that I've got on my fireplace in my other room, and I just took off the flowers that are behind ornaments that get in the way. And I decided to stick those on because I knew I wanted flowers in here, but obviously I can't put real flowers in because they'll break down. I needed some fake flowers, so I decided to use these. And it was just a case of positioning them, and what I've done is I've put the smallest amount of glue I possibly can. So then if I decide that I want to rearrange this cloche again to do a summer theme or a winter theme, because I like the idea of being able to change it and make it seasonal, then I can remove these easily, and then it'd just be a case of touching up the base just in a couple of spots if the hot glue takes the paint off. So I'm using the smallest dab of glue just to make that rose stick to the belly of the stag, to make sure it doesn't fall off. I'd got a couple of fake sunflowers. I was looking at putting those in, but then I decided to go for the pink theme, so I just stuck with pink flowers, and I've got light pink and dark pink. The next flower I got, I think it's like is it a peony? Something like that. or it's a rose with loads of petals. I can't remember which one. Probably a rose with loads of petals. Obviously, you know, artificial. And the head keeps falling off this one, so I just fixed that. That was some damage before from when I knocked the vase off that it was in. And then I knew I wanted that behind the stag, so I'm just arranging it how I want and deciding where I want the little rosebud to go, and which way round I want the flowers to be. This took a little bit of fiddling just to get it to stick in place and be the way I wanted it to be, but I got there in the end. And once I'd positioned everything where I wanted it, you'll see I turn it around in a bit because I wanted one bud on one side, one on the other. Then I glued it into place, and what I did to glue it into place is the very end of the stalk I glued to the wood, and then I put a little blob of glue on the back of the stag and stuck the rose to the back of the stag to make it stand up. This is just to hold it upright while I put the lid of the cloche on. So I wasn't too worried about gluing it down mega secure, but just enough to hold it so I can put the cover on without the stuff moving that's inside. And then position the flowers to where I wanted them. This little one, the little one on the left, I decided to wrap that so it's sort of draped over the back of the stag, as if it's sort of drooped down and followed the shape of the stag when it's been growing. Which you'll see me doing a bit once I've fixed it into place. This was where it was fiddly because it kept falling over because it's a very top heavy flower. But a bit of extra hot glue did the trick. And what I like about using hot glue as well is when I want to remove this, like if I wanted to take the stag statue back out, everything will peel off and it won't damage the little statue ornament thing at all. Not that I'm too worried. I mean, I have previously dropped it and broke 2 feet off and glued them back on, so it's not, you know, in pristine condition anyway. But obviously it's just in case I wanted to change what's inside. I want to be able to get the little ornament back because it's one of my favourite ornaments that I always have on display. So as you can see here, I'm wrapping the rosebud round and sticking it so it looks like it's grown around the stag. This bit was a tiny bit fiddly because it's not really got much wire in the buds to bend the plastic. So basically what I'm having to do is bend the plastic stem and then hold it in position as I glue it down until the glue sets. Once the glue set, it was fine, but obviously it kept springing back into its old position, so I had to keep holding it. And then I glued the little bud to the back of the stag as well, just to make sure it didn't move. And once that was glued down, it was quite secure and I knew it wasn't going to move then, so that was a lot better. And it was just a case of just holding it for a second. And what I find is if you hold the object in position and then just blow cold air onto the hot glue, it does set quite quickly. And then the leaves I'd pulled off that were in the way, I stuck those to the back. Because I want it to look like there's like a bush of roses behind the stag. And there's a little bit of a blank area there, so obviously I wanted to fill that with some leaves or some sort of floral type thing. Then when you do something like this, just make sure you regularly check that the cover of the cloche will still fit on without any problems. As you can see, it worked perfectly fine. And I've got a gap in front of where the stag's front legs are. So I was deciding what flower to put there. I was going to look at the sunflower, but I decided no, it was a bit too over the top and it kind of didn't go with the colour scheme I got, so I stuck another rose in instead, one of these little pale baby pink ones that I've got. And then because it's Easter, I wanted to add a touch of Easter, so I do, most of them are at the back actually. This one fell off, I've got to stick it back on. Put a couple of little eggs, Easter eggs in. So if you look at the back, there's like a little painted Easter egg. These were just some that I bought. I think I got them from, these are either the pound shop or the range. I got these from last year because I had them hanging up on the garland last year for last year's Astara altar setup. And I didn't glue the egg into place, because that's going to be removable, because this is more summer spring themed than Easter. But I just wanted to add a little touch of Easter because it's not far off. And then I've got these little fabric vines that are from a flower headband, and I stuck those on to make them look like they're ones draping across the stag. And then I positioned the other one over the back of the stag but didn't like it, so you'll see it runs around the front of the base instead of the cloche by the little bird. And it's just a case of just putting a tiny little blob of glue either end just to make sure that stays into place. I'm not making anything permanent, but just enough so it holds position if it's moved around or the lid's taken on or off. And then at the back is where I put a couple of the little painted eggs. They're just little plastic ones, by the way, they're not real eggs, in case you're wondering. And I will put that one back at the front for Easter. I'll just balance it on inside. And then I wanted to make sure I got some lights, some little fairy lights, and I've got these little micro LEDs on this very thin wire. I didn't film wrapping these around because it's a bit fiddly, and it's a case of weaving the wires in and out of the rose petals and everything, because you want to hide as much wire as possible. And that's what it looks like. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.